Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join me here to learn a little bit more about what it is to become a Christian life coach, and specifically in this program, it's Christian Life Purpose Coach, helping others to discover and fulfill their life calling. I'm a lifetime certified instructor with Life Purpose Coaching Centers International, and I started back in 2005. In fact, it was exactly the beginning of that ministry. I was in Katie Brazelton's very first certification class, and have been in every one of her levels that she developed after that. I've been privileged to be a part of the inaugural classes. So I've been with her as this ministry has grown, and it has grown. If you go to her website, which I would definitely encourage you to do, and you go to, there's a map, if you click on the link that says Find a Coach, and the map is the map of the United States, and all of the colored states tell you that there are LPCCI certified coaches in that state. And there's, I think, only maybe 5, 7, something like that, something under 10 states left that do not have LPCCI coaches, and we have them in other countries as well. There's a ministry, a group of them started in France. Katie just recently went to Africa, several different places around the world. So it is even growing beyond, and we do have several coaches in Canada as well, but it continues to grow. So then after my initial certification, I founded Whole Woman Ministry, and that has become my platform for making this life coaching look like me. And that's really what I would say to you if you become a part of the program, that we're going to give you tools and help your skills and equip you to launch a coaching practice. But certainly you have to know that every one of us, being as unique as we are and having that one-of-a-kind DNA that God's given us, will create a practice that over the first couple years of your practice will grow into something that looks just like you. And so I have found that true. I also do some speaking, and the facilitation piece is, and I'll mention this later, if you get to level 3, level 1 and 2 has to do with life coaching. If you get to level 3, it's learning to be a facilitator of a process, a life planning process. And that's basically like doing a strategic plan for someone's life. The difference being that it's really, you're not creating a plan for that person, you're partnering with that person and facilitating a process for them to connect with God and what His plan is. And it's true with our coaching as well. It's a 3-stranded cord. It's the coach and the client and the Holy Spirit, and that's how that discovery process works. And then some of my previous background, the Lord's had me in some kind of like a team leadership kind of thing, a training, a coaching. Any of those kind of titles could have fit in the different positions that I've had. A personal trainer, I was working with people's fitness, but I can tell you that when you get into somebody's life and you're going into their home and working with them one-on-one on their fitness, you certainly find yourself playing other roles as well. And so I found myself ministering to their whole life and their relationship with God, their faith, and their future. So God's been using all of that, even my education director position at a crisis pregnancy center, to hone my skills, because when I discovered life coaching, and specifically Christian life coaching, I knew that was the title that fit the DNA that He created in me. Why become a life coach? Why, how do you look at yourself and your life and your desires and say, well, this is something that fits me? And so I'm going to have a few slides here that just talk about what it really is. And this slide really says a lot, because as a life coach, it's all about impacting people's lives. You're helping them make positive changes and experience God's transformational work in their lives. And it's so important to realize that the difference between Christian coaching and secular coaching is right there. Secular coaches, they are trained to believe and to help the client find the answer within themselves. In other words, they feel that the answer is within the client, and they're going to help facilitate the client discovering that answer. And as Christian coaches, we believe that the answer lies with God. And so we are facilitating and partnering with them to help them connect with God. We're actually joining together to seek God on behalf of that client for more revelation, more unfolding in their life of His plan. So it is transformational work. It is not self-discovery in terms of something that you're doing yourself, and it's not self-improvement. It is definitely Holy Spirit transformational work that we are part of. So anytime you're talking about significant change like that, you know that you're going to have significant obstacles, whether it's external or internal roadblocks of all sorts. And as most of you probably have already experienced, to have significant change requires breakthrough thinking, thinking outside the box. So as a life coach, you are giving your clients the support and accountability they need to break through those walls, just like you see in this visual here. And as a Christian life coach, as I mentioned a minute ago, you're going to have that third partner, which is God and His Spirit. And that we rely on God to direct the entire process, from the discovering of how He's wired you, because that's one of the important first steps, is helping a client get their arms around their leverage, what makes them unique, how they've been wired, to goal setting, to roadblock recognition, to roadblock breakthrough, all the way through the transformation process that will happen as a client moves towards their God-given dreams and goals. So again, that's different than secular coaching, which the coaches are trained that the answers lie within the client. So after completing an LPCCI certification, your specific title will be Life Purpose Coach, because you will have the specialty of taking people through a discovery process that helps them connect with their one-of-a-kind purpose that God's designed for them. And so one of the great outcomes for you as an LPCCI certified coach is that you will have a process. It's a 10-week discovery process. The curriculum's there. The workbook is there. You're going to go through it as a client with a certified coach as part of your training, and then you're going to learn to take other women through it. So the beauty of that is that you instantly have a curriculum. You're not just going to start a business and have to reinvent the wheel with the process. You can certainly add to it, and you may grow to having your own methodology, but you will come out of the training with a process. So the second thing you want to think about after impacting people's lives is, am I an encourager? Am I someone who is driven to uplift people? Have I been gifted that way? Do people tend to come to you for encouragement, support, advice? And you find yourself always playing that cheerleading role, trying to uplift people and towards positive goals and positive change in their life. That is a huge part of becoming a life coach. And if it's not part of your spiritual DNA, chances are that this isn't the role that you want, because really that's going to be one of the very most important things, is being a great encourager. Encourager in the Greek means to come alongside. So as life coaches, Christian life coaches, that's what we're there to do, is to come alongside. We are partnering up with our clients, and we bring accountability and support and cheerlead all the way along. And specifically, our encouragement is directed at helping clients discover God's plan for their life. And then inside that process, they're going to really get their arms around how they've been wired, what their unique giftings are, and what is that one-of-a-kind contribution that God has for them to bring. And then the third thing to think about, the third area, and this really is true, I can tell you from experience, that if you have a desire to have the type of business where you're not only in charge of your business, but you really can do it from anywhere. When I started life coaching back in 2005, my husband was doing a lot of traveling, and he really wanted me to travel with him, and that was possible. So anytime, even now, although we're not traveling as much now, anytime if we have a workshop to do, a seminar, a speaking engagement anywhere, as long as I have a phone and a laptop, I can continue my client work. And so I find that about 90% of my coaching happens over the phone and the computer. And it's interesting because I thought when I started, and you may be thinking the same thing, well, if people had the choice and they lived near you, wouldn't they choose face-to-face? And I thought that too. But I was living in Ohio at the time, and I was in an area where I had lived most of my life, so I had a lot of network, a large network of people. And so when I launched my coaching practice and I started having clients, my assumption was that I would be meeting face-to-face. But as time went on, I found that women were by and large choosing the phone option. And I've just kind of been watching that over the years, and what I've kind of, my unofficial study of that has been, I think that we're all so busy that for a woman or a man, if he's seeing a male coach, that we're wanting not to have another place to be in our lives. And so the idea that they can be in their sweats and sitting, casually in front of their computer and on the phone with me versus having to another appointment to be at in terms of a place to drive to and so forth. I think that's a major draw for the phone coaching. The other thing is, I've asked women this question, and several times they've said to me that because if they didn't know me very well, if it wasn't a first layer connection that they actually knew me or maybe knew a mutual friend, if they felt a little bit unfamiliar with me as a person, it felt safer to them to just to have that space in terms of over the phone, because the relationship will grow, the trust bond will grow over time, and you will find that your clients can be very vulnerable with you if you can build that trust. But at the beginning, I could see that would be a reason that maybe over the phone would be a little bit easier to do. So as I've mentioned, at least I would say 90% of my coaching does happen in that setting. This is a very important slide, and I'll tell you, I can't tell you, this took us about 3 years to get to this slide. It was the best one-pager that we have found that gives you a quick look, because as a life coach, because this is a new field, one of the very first things questions you're going to hear from people when you say that's what you do is, well, how is life coaching different than counseling? Or different than spiritual direction, or different than mentoring or discipleship? And this slide just gives you a look at that. And the simplest, most direct answer to what is a coach, I love this from this football coach, Bobby Bentley, and I use this all the time. A coach is a person who gets you to a place that you want to go, that you can't get to by yourself. And that means any kind of coach. This is the generic term for a person that plays this role, no matter whether it's in the sports role, it could be a business coach, whatever your specific field is. This is the general title of coach, and at a very basic level, this is what our role is about. So just to point out, notice that it says that a coach is a collaborator who provides a structure and process to an agenda set by the client. So I, as the coach, am providing this structure. I'm going to help clarify life purpose, provide accountability, help set achievable goals, and then encourage attainment of those objectives and goals. And as I'm doing that all along, the work part, the action steps, the seeking God and getting from Him what is that next breadcrumb for me as I'm on my journey, all of that work piece is the client. You're not doing that as the coach. That is the client. So what ends up happening then is you don't need to be an expert in a specific area. Let's say compared to like a consultant that mentions here, a consultant is an expert in a specific area, and it's going to bring that expertise to analyze and solve problems. We're not doing that as coaches. We're providing, like it says here, a structure and a process, accountability and encouragement. And so our expertise is going to be in the area of listening. We're going to be expert active listeners. We're going to be expert question askers and expert cheerleaders. That's where our expertise is as life coaches.